And hi, everybody. Welcome once again to the Non-Prophets. This show is brought to you by the Atheist Community of Austin. I'm your host, Jeff D. My co-hosts are Mary McManamee.
Hi, all.
And Vic Farrow.
Hello.
And our producer sitting on the floor fiddling with the controls is Russell Glasser. Today's opening music was Let's Be Natural by the Bulls. And that is in honor of the fact that today we're doing this audio program completely naked. We are live April 27, 2002. The Atheist Community of Austin is a non-profit educational organization promoting positive atheism, the separation of church and state, and today, nudity. For one only. We have weekly meetings Sunday mornings at Hot Jumbo Bagel Shop at 307 West 5th Street at 10:30 a.m.
Which is too bad because it's the Hot and Jumbo Bagel Shop.
Hot Jumbo Bagel Shop. And it's not a clothing optional establishment. At 307 West 5th Street. Let me get through the frickin' sentence, can I? No. I know you're all feeling free and giddy because you're naked from head to toe, but where was I? 10:30 a.m. except for the first Sunday each month when we have our lecture series at 11 a.m. in the Longhorn Room of Fur's Cafeteria at North Cross Mall. The next lecture will be on May 5. Only it's going to be a lecture. It will be the elections for our officers for the coming year. ACA board meetings take place at 10 right before the regular meeting on the second Sunday of every month. If you shop at Randall's, the Randall's food store chain, you can give them our nonprofit organization number, 5158, and have 1% of your purchase donated to the Atheist Community of Austin. The Godless Gamers meet Monday nights at 7 p.m. at my place. ACA Happy Hour is at Antonio's in Austin, Texas, near Highway 35 and 183, every Thursday night at 7:30. For more information, you can call our voicemail at code 512-371-2911. Or visit our website at www.atheist-community.org. And now it's time for news.
And if I can concentrate, sitting over here looking at Mary's boobies.
Well, just place your laptop in between.
And then but it won't sit right.
It's compact.
Hey! I don't know if I like that remark.
You guys.
All right. All my news comes from the infinite.
What the hell is wrong with our world where people can't sit around naked together without it turning into, jokes?
I know.
I don't understand. Hi, Michelle. Ladies and gentlemen, Michelle Gadouche, co-chair of our organization, also completely naked. Hi, Michelle.
All in support of National Nudity Day, where everybody gets naked and get over it.
Okay.
News.
We're doing news. Not nudes, but news.
But
all right. All the news comes from the Internet Infidels Newswire. So if you want there, you can go read them yourself.
You know, a lot of people. Only reason a lot of people listen to this show is so they can get their atheist news.
And they don't want to read them; they want us to tell it to them.
There you go.
We're performing a vital service.
Right.
Number one story: the Diocese of Baton Rouge says it grieves for the children who have been sexually abused by the priests and offers apologies to the 215,929 Catholics it oversees.
Okay.
Very specific number.
Good.
The Very Reverend John Carville.
He's not just a little reverend.
It says right here, in capital letters. That must be some kind of Catholic thing because I don't understand that. But also Wednesday that during the past 15 years, between 6 and 10 victims allegedly been sexually abused by priests. The victims were adults when they made their allegations. The diocese will report to police allegations made by minors who say priests sexually abused them. The church has a legal obligation, his words, to report those allegations. The abuse of minors is a crime and a sin. Well, there's a bit of good news. There's at least one diocese who says, we're not going to put up with this. You do this, you're going to go to jail.
Yeah, you know what? I'll believe it when I see it.
True. How long is it going to take them to find out? And, will they investigate it themselves first? And
plus, from reading that story, I recall that he is not even the highest-ranking guy in that organization.
Yeah.
He's like a flunky spokesperson.
He could be overruled.
But he's the very reverend.
The very reverend.
Apparently not reverend enough.
They don't call Catholics reverends.
What do they?
No, I don't understand it. It's bizarre.
It's an official title, like like sir
Yeah.
or whatever. When you're a priest, you're still the reverend.
Oh.
I see.
But he's the very reverend.
So when
Yeah.
are you a monsignor? Or that's not quite as high.
That's a big high rank.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah,
I've never understood it.
that's
Well,
field
anyway.
marshal.
I think over bishop is over a diocese, so it may
Yeah.
be that he's bishop.
Oh, okay.
That's why he's very reverend as
All
opposed
right.
to just
While we get all really confused over Catholic ranking, we'll move on to.
So I'm very atheist, and you're just.
I think the more atheist you are. I really want to protest. If we had to.
Okay.
Who's more naked?
You are, Mary. You are the very naked Mary McManamee. All right. I'm not getting through this. The La Crosse city attorney.
See, I'm telling you, we live in this sick culture
I know.
where something as simple as having any clothes on is immediately it stands in the way of any kind of rational discussion of anything.
All the more reason to have National Get Naked Day. Everybody gets naked. Right. Enough naked bodies in a 24-hour period, it won't bother you anymore. Some naked bodies will disturb, distract.
Interest? Arouse?
It could. I'm
not sure I want to give that up.
Some bodies are more arousing than others. Some bodies are more interesting than others.
True.
Some bodies you'll be like, oh, I wish I hadn't seen that.
Might put you off for a very long time.
Please come clothes on, man. Oh, man. A moo-moo, preferably. No, the La Crosse city attorney, Pat Houlihan, believes that the city of La Crosse could sell the piece of Cameron Park where the Ten Commandments Monument is located. To solve a similar conflict, Marshfield, Wisconsin sold a portion of the city property where a statue of Jesus Christ is located, fenced the property, and erected a sign stating that the monument is on private property. So this is a way of getting out of taking the monuments off public property by selling the public property.
Sell the hunk of land that it's on. They're just going to sell like a 5-foot square?
They're going to sell. Okay, this idea has been suggested in the La Crosse, but in an earlier opinion by the city's attorney's office stated that it could not be done because the property has been dedicated as a park. Houlihan has discovered that it's not so. But because of an odd circumstance in history, the land is not plotted as a park. In 1851, the property was dedicated as a public square by Peter Cameron, who owned part of it. Houlihan said Peter Cameron had power of attorney for his brother Daniel, who had the ownership interest in the park. But in 1890, Daniel Cameron said that the power of attorney did not authorize dedicating land for public interest, and he wanted his share of the land. So the case went to a jury who agreed with Daniel Cameron. The city appealed, and the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals agreed with the city. In 1900, the city attorney recommended the parties settle by paying Daniel Cameron $6,000. As a result, the park was not properly dedicated as a park, and so does not fall under the rules that apply to dedicated parks.
But my question
is that it cannot be sold.
Are they just going to sell the chunk of it that has the monument on it? Because that is clearly nothing but a dodge.
Yes.
Or are they going to sell the entire park?
My impression is they're going to sell the portion of the park that has the monument on it.
Yeah,
and just fence
and fence it over and say, private property can't take this away.
Oh.
To sell the portion of the park, he said the Board of Park Commissions and the La Crosse Council will have to decide that the city did not need that part of the park any longer.
Fine. So go ahead and let the Satanists buy a piece and the Buddhists buy a piece.
That's right. They start selling out their park piecemeal. They damn well better make other parcels available to any group that wants to come along and pay for it.
Yeah, well, that's not so simple, I don't think. I think this is it's a dodge. You know?
Yeah, it's a dodge.
Instead of having to take the monument down and conform with the letter of the Constitution, we'll just figure out a way around it.
I understand. We can take our pen down. They will not take their monument down.
Yeah.
Right. Just goes to show you that we have open minds.
There you go.
And right now we have open pants. Okay, in other news, Nigerian Muslim prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for 2 men accused of converting from Islam to Christianity. The Wali Yabuku and Ali Jafaru have been given 3 days to reconvert by an Islamic court judge in Mara. They are accused of joining the Great Commission movement, an international evangelical church with a strong following in Nigeria. Sharia Judge Awul Jabaka. Is this people from Star Wars or what?
All right. We get the gist, right?
The Quran calls for execution of Muslims who accept other religions. But he said it's unclear whether the state's 2-year-old Sharia penal code all permits such a punishment. Jabaka adjourned for the court 3 days to allow the accused to change their minds and convert back to Islam.
Wow.
In the meantime, he called for the Zamfari government to clarify its position on the matter. If the law empowers me, quoting him, to execute the two for converting from Islam to Christianity, I will have no hesitation in doing that, the judge said. The two accused were not represented by lawyers, but were instead accompanied by fellow church members. Didn't seem to help them a whole lot.
Now, I hope they do this story on our TV show, because there we have live calls, and we're always being accused of bashing Christians. I just want to go on the record right now saying, this is despicable.
Yes.
Nobody should be killed for being a Christian.
Nobody should be killed for being a Muslim.
Nobody should be killed in China for being a member of the Falun Gong movement.
Right.
That is all horrible, and I can't even wrap my mind around how.
The two accused have argued that they have never been Muslims, but were instead members of the Magazawa, a Hausau subgroup that has long practiced Christianity.
I don't care.
The overwhelming majority of Hausas, one of Nigeria's largest tribes, are Muslim.
But you know, I have a different perspective on this, and see if you can stick with me here. But this is not. This is in practice from the perspective of those of us who have some grasp of reality. Very different from anything I've ever seen from Christians lately. Okay, not
Except
going
John
back to like.
Ashcroft. No.
He hasn't said that any non-Christian should be killed.
No, but I would put that.
Other than the ones that we've targeted in war.
Yeah.
Okay. But from the perspective of somebody who believes all this nonsense, to say that somebody should be killed for switching religions, right, from the real religion to a false religion, is not materially different from saying, well, if you're a Christian now, you get to go to heaven and be with God forever. But if you stop being a Christian, then you get to suffer eternal torment. Now, of course, none of that ever happens, because that's complete bullshit. But that is a death sentence from the Christian perspective. These people are condemning everybody that isn't part of their religion. When I say these people, I mean Christians. Condemning everybody who's not a member of their religious viewpoint to an eternity of torment.
And it goes further than that. They will condemn each other for not being a part of the correct Christian sect.
But to be fair, I think some Christians don't believe that. I think some of them believe that
Christians
even if you don't believe, you're not going to go to hell. You know, you're just not going to go to heaven either.
And I'll ask the question that I asked on the TV show last weekend when I was on as a guest. Where the hell are those liberal Christians? Why aren't they speaking up?
I don't know.
How is it that we only hear from the Jerry Falwell Robertson types? Right? I mean, why the hell, this Bishop song, right, that we heard so much about, he's like retired now and stuff, if he's even still alive. Why the hell do we only ever hear articles about this crazy Catholic guy who hardly believes any of this nonsense? And yet, he is not a spokesperson standing up there calling Falwell and Robertson flaming retards.
He's written a couple of books.
I know why it is. It's people that live in glass houses. The reason why we do not hear from liberal Christians is because they cannot afford to begin the discussion of which religious ideas make sense and which ones don't, because ultimately none of it does. That's my opinion.
That's a good point.
That's their slippery slope.
And it sounds so much more persuasive coming from a guy completely naked. Anything else, Vic?
Well, the Southeastern Louisiana University Student Union Theater was packed Tuesday, I suppose, a week ago, for the third of a series of lectures given by Michael Roos. Anybody know who Michael Roos is? Because I didn't have time to look him up.
Oh, I read this article.
Okay.
He's trying to reconcile Darwinism and Christianity.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And the problem I have with him is I don't know that much about the guy, but according to the background information accompanying the article, he himself is not a Christian. I don't think it's the business of Christians, of non-Christians. I think it's the business of anybody, not a member of a particular religion, to attempt to reconcile anything secular with the beliefs in that religion. I don't believe that it's appropriate for this guy, and I don't think it's appropriate for Gold. Who's the evolutionary guy with his non-overlapping magisteria? Gould. Stephen Jay Gould. I don't think it's appropriate for him to do it either. It is not the business of non-Christians to say what is supposed to reconcile with Christianity. Let the frickin' Christians decide that. They'll be completely insane, but it's their business, not anybody else's.
At the question and answer portion of this little conference, he was asked by a Christian how he views Jesus, and Rouge says he believed that Jesus was a preacher, a bit of a fanatic, and a man who had great influence over others. He said he's not sure if Jesus ever wanted to be named the Messiah, but gives a rat's ass. So, another person asked why so many people are angered at the thought of their ancestors apes. And he says, I rather rejoice in the fact that from an animal world, which says, adding that for many people the idea seemed like a degradation of the human species. And from a Christian perspective of special creation, where you are made in the image of God, that is a degradation.
Sure.
The idea that you could have evolved and not been created by the special magic man.
Everything sucks compared to the most beautiful golden vision you can make up.
Right.
So what?
Okay, well, that's enough of that.
All right.
There is still evidence that programs that push sexual abstinence prevent teen sex, pregnancy, or disease.
No.
The government reported. As Congress debates over whether to renew an abstinence-only initiative. These programs have multiplied in the 5 years since Congress directed almost $500 million to the effort.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
But an evaluation aimed at determining whether they work will have no definitive results for a few years, said the interim report released Tuesday. The report found the programs offer teens a variety of activities, although they have trouble getting parents and local schools involved. It also found that despite claims by advocates, no reliable evidence exists whether the programs work. Most studies of abstinence education programs have methodological flaws that prevent them from generating reliable estimates of program impacts.
What is the objective?
Abstinence-only sex education.
Well, that's the method. What is the goal of abstinence-only sex education?
You can have a sex.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a way to prevent teen pregnancy and the venereal
disease.
disease.
So they're saying
I've
that
dated
there's
myself.
just as much pregnancy and just as much disease.
Well, they're saying that there's absolutely no evidence to support that these programs work.
Right. And work would mean
Be more
the reduction in the reduction in teen pregnancy,
reduction
age of first time sexual activity, and the spread of disease. I dated myself a minute ago. I called it a venereal disease. I haven't used that one in a while.
The good old days.
You didn't get a sexually transmitted. You had VD. And VD was,
treatable.
Gonorrhea,
typically.
Gonorrhea, syphilis, and the crabs.
Herpes wasn't treatable.
Anybody got those, by the way?
treatable.
Crabs?
No. We're all naked on deck.
I am.
Let me take a Mary.
Hey. Do that again. better let me take it. Don't slap my hand, Mary. Damn.
Well, I've got a personal anecdote on this. I had a gynecologist when I was about 15, and he actually got out of practice, and he went to teach.
What do you mean? He didn't know what he was doing anymore?
I tried to bite my tongue on that one. I just
Thing's called a speculum. Remember that?
Oh, here, let me do it.
Anyway, so he got out of So you had a gynecologist who was out of practice.
He was out of practice.
Where Where is this story going?
Okay, really, I have a point. I promise.
All right.
Okay. Okay. And he decided to quit practicing he decided to quit his gynecological practice because he wanted to teach abstinence teenagers full time. He even wrote a book about it.
Okay.
And when I was a teenager, I went for one of my first exams, and I remember him telling me this. I remember him saying, you know, the best thing for you to do, young lady, and he was very like a fatherly type figure, even though I didn't really need him to be, but anyway, that's kind of the tone he took. You know, he said the best thing for you and people like you to do is to be abstinent, and here's why. And he gave me a copy of his book. And in his book, he talked about, you know, all these horrible diseases that you can get. And I don't think anybody would have any qualms about how horrible, you know, STDs and HIV can be. I mean, we know this. But what struck me was, dude, you need to get your head out of your ass. Because you're talking about 15 and 16-year-olds. And I remember thinking at the time, you know, I knew I wasn't quite ready for sex yet. But I knew that it was something I wanted to do. And just telling me, don't do this, wasn't going to work.
Well, it wouldn't have worked for me. I had sex at 14. No way you could have stopped me.
Yeah.
No way in hell.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not realistic.
Yeah. And but the absolute lack of education by this abstinence-only program, where it's like there's horrible diseases out there, and the only time they ever talk about condoms is how they fail.
Uh-huh.
You know, the failure rates of condoms. Yes, there's failure rates, and yes, there's consequences to sexual behavior.
Yeah.
And there's I don't have a problem with suggesting that when they say that abstinence is the best way to keep from getting a sexual. Well, of course, yeah, that's right. If you don't do it, you don't get the sexual disease. There's no risk of pregnancy in abstinence. That's all true. But having an abstinence only when you know that there are going to be a large amount of teenagers that are going to engage in sex anyway, no matter what you tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you need to prepare them for, if they're going to behave if they're going to have adult behaviors, they're going to have to act like adults.
Right.
And you need to teach them how to act like adults.
Right.
You need to teach them, and you need to give them the tools to make competent decisions about their own sexuality and their practice of that sexuality. And stop hiding under the damn rug or behind the doors and talking about, oh, no, Johnny, don't have sex.
Right.
Oh, yeah, right, Mom.
Now,
and the other part of it was he was Christian. And I think
that's
where he's coming from.
Yeah, that's where it came from.
Which brings up the issue of, why the hell are we talking about this on our atheist audio show?
Because we're naked.
Sure.
That's what came to mind.
But still.
I'm thinking of sex right now.
There's just all these bizarre, evil attitudes going around our culture still about how people ought to behave and what's right and wrong, completely divorced from what the facts are.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the main advantages to being an atheist is you can set all that stuff aside, look at what are the actual consequences, what are the actual costs, what are the actual risks, and then make informed decisions rather than just accepting, some commandment from on high because some authority figure says, don't eat pork, or some authority figure says don't pork your fellow man. You know what I mean?
I remember mentioning this last week too, that in the Netherlands they have comprehensive sex education that begins very early.
Uh-huh.
And they have the lowest teen pregnancy.
We talked about this last week.
Yeah, the lowest age of actual first time.
We got some kind of sex fixation on this show, or what?
That
came up last week.
That's just I'm not in denial.
Tom, it's funny that you should mention this thing too, because Tom just had sex education at school last week.
Oh, yeah.
What did they teach him?
Totally traumatized him.
Wait. How old is
they? Show him like horrible pictures of disease.
Yeah, grisly
sexual
diseases.
parts.
He's like, I come home and he goes, Mom, what's the word you're like scarred for life? And I said, traumatized. Yeah.
And again,
get over it.
There's the.
And I tried to kiss him. He goes, no, get away. No contact with anybody.
So let's use fear as a tactic to keep them from having sex.
It's just appalling to me that we would teach sex education the way we teach driver's.
But I'm not surprised that in this country, sex education.
Asphalt or something where they showed up your driver's ed so you wouldn't drive crazy.
I am not surprised that in this country sex education is taught by using fear, because the overwhelming majority of people here in this country are Christians, and they have a doctrine of fear. Their entire religion is based on being afraid of the big guy in the sky.
Right.
And so that just trickles down to everything else. So if we can scare them into it, out of doing it, then, we might spare them a couple of years before they actually figure out, let's just bullshit and do it anyway.
Mm-hmm. And not know what the hell they're doing.
And not know what the hell they're doing, not know how to be careful, and then the next thing you know, teen pregnancy and the spread of disease.
Yeah.
And then they're all like, I just didn't know.
Of course, there are no teens in this room. Therefore, no danger of that.
We're safe in our nakedness.
Okay, anyway, back to this report. The report was written by independent researchers who are evaluating the initiative, and they also found that programs incorporated many messages beyond sexual abstinence. These included building self-esteem, aspiring to healthy marriages, decision-making skills, withstanding peer pressure, and developing goals.
Well, those are all decent
things, depending on the context. I mean, who's teaching them, and what are they considering healthy marriages?
Yeah, I don't think people should necessarily aspire to marriage at all. And
right.
I mean, that's a thing to think about when you're in a position where you've got a relationship where maybe that makes sense.
Yeah, the abstinence only, though, is also part of the abstinence only is you don't have sex to get married. There has to be a ring on your finger and a contract signed.
I must not be a good person. I don't have my healthy marriage yet.
And I'm 95.
Many of the programs try to bridge the gap in parent-child communication by trying to engage parents in programs and trying to get teens to feel more comfortable talking to their parents about sex. That's a big problem altogether there, because there are lots and lots of latchkey kids who never have communication with their parents whatsoever. Yeah. And so getting parents to actually come to a school and participate in their child's education
Not going to happen.
But that'd be a problem with any program, just the abstinence one.
Yeah.
Despite widespread parent enthusiasm for programs, getting more than a small fraction actively involved has proven to be a major challenge for virtually all programs.
Yeah, right.
That's enough of that story. It goes on and on talking about Republicans. I want to talk about Republicans for that. Here we go. Let's change the subject to our old-time favorite friend who we had visit or supposedly visit our city once before. We never actually saw him. Reverend Fred Phelps.
Oh, yeah.
There's a story about Fred Phelps.
Oh, yeah.
From sex education to Fred Phelps.
I don't want to see him naked.
Yeah.
For the past 11 years, the Reverend, I wonder if he's a very reverend too. But
I think he's a little less reverend.
The moderately reverend.
And Fred Phelps and his family have held the city of Topeka hostage to his message of hatred against homosexuality. Every rain or shine, Phelps, 72, dispatches congregants from the Westboro Baptist Church, including his own infant grandchildren, to picket churches, businesses, and individuals who oppose him. Death to all who oppose us. The church is...
Which also sounds very convincing coming from a naked guy.
And he looks like a fig when he's naked.
You've seen this. I have no idea.
Yeah.
He looks like Mr. Burns naked.
Yeah.
The church is aligned with the primitive Baptist religion. This is actually...
You don't say!
Primitive Baptist religion, which holds that a small, predetermined number of people have been chosen for redemption on Judgment Day.
You know what?
While
all
the rest of humanity will burn in hell.
Primitive.
Well, okay, yeah. The rest of humanity will burn in hell. My question
Then
to that
why do
is...
they care?
Why does he care?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Won't protest anybody if you already know you're one of the ones that are going to burn in hell.
And I told you what.
Freaking what?
Why?
I told you why. Because he has a background in law and has several lawyers' sons. He's disbarred, though his group is listed as a...
His church is listed as a law firm.
A law firm. What he does is he makes his money by offending people beyond the limits of their tolerance, and then when they take swipes at him or his people when they go to protest something, then he sues them and makes a lot of money. That is the business that he's in.
Some time ago, the city of where's he from? Topeka enacted an ordinance that prevented him or anybody from protesting 90 feet away from a building. and he sued and got reduced to 50, and then he charged the city of Topeka, Kansas, what was it, $40,000 or something? I got it here somewhere. $40,000 for his legal suspenses, and they paid him.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
For legal fees.
So he made $40,000 to challenge a law that was aimed at stopping him from protesting in
Gotta admit, clever strategy.
Worked for him at the time. But, now there's also a group called the Concerned Citizens of Topeka. And these people have, they formed just to protest this guy, Phelps. And they've now offered to pay the legal cost of any citizen sued by Phelps. In response, the preacher and some of his followers burst into a church in the middle of Miniger's mother's funeral a few years ago, waving abusive signs, embarrassing and angering mourners, and adding to their grief.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is also the fellow who, at Matthew Shepard's funeral, was out shouting these obscenities to the parents of Matthew Shepard, while all this God hates fags and your son's burning in hell, blah blah blah.
And that's still the cornerstone of their website. Is how days is Matthew Shepard.
Yes, he has the Matthew Shepard burning in hell counter.
And again, why do they care?
Why does he care? If Matthew Shepard's burning in
because
hell,
he doesn't care. Doesn't care. What he does care about is offending people so that they will go over the legal line and he can sue them and get their money.
Well, apparently he was not willing to take us on because when he was here to protest the University Baptist Church,
scheduled to be
he
here.
never showed up.
University Baptist Church, he was scheduled to come here and protest them because they were accepting gays and lesbians into their congregation.
He didn't.
Our group and several other church groups and some other student groups all showed up counter protest. And we waited and we waited and waited, and no Phelps. And we were all big.
Woo!
Yay!
Because, we had made signs and we were ready to stand there and block the church from Phelps' view, and he just didn't show up.
And if you want a good laugh, apparently, as we announced last week, you can go to GodHatesFigs.com.
Well, he's got another website now. Reverend Phelps' opponents. Where is it? He has another website, God Hates America.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's a separate site or just a section of his main site. But
God Hates America.
Since September 11,
he was reported as...
hey, it's the most offensive thing he could think of. Therefore, fits in well with his strategy.
He was reported as gloating over the September 11th terrorist attack, saying that America was getting what it deserved because it had, abandoned God. Or same thing that Jerry Falwell was saying, except that he didn't get as much coverage on it.
Yeah.
So nobody really wants to pay attention to Phelps. We only do it when we have to.
Right.
Whenever he gets in your face and you're forced to pay attention to him, that's when he gets attention.
But isn't that interesting that Phelps and Falwell are basically saying about the same thing about gays, but yet Phelps is considered to be the one who's too far out there. Why is
Same
that?
message, different presentation.
Yeah, but
and Phelps
really it's the same hatred.
Falwell's on being interviewed on TV shows.
On
He's
CNN.
Well, the big difference is Falwell lost his lawsuit against from the porn magazine.
Hustler.
He lost his Hustler lawsuits.
Yeah.
That strategy wasn't working out for him, so
Because he's a public figure.
He tries to just
now,
play
does Hustler still have
authority.
the standing offer to pay money for information on any member of the Senate or House that
They
sex
do.
scandals?
$1 million.
It was a reward of money if you find credible information on sex scandals of anybody in the House or Senate or something, or Falwell or any of these people that he could.
Apparently, a couple of stories came out of that, but nothing big enough that it had way in the media.
Great.
Plus, with Hustler, you get pictures of naked women. So
which we don't need right now. We have two sitting right in front of us.
that's right.
All right.
Are you done with your news yet? This is going on.
I was going to do a John Ashcroft story, but we already did it last week where he was shot down trying to attack Oregon.
Yay.
He was telling Oregon that any doctor that prescribed drugs for a terminally ill patient to commit suicide would be prosecuted as a drug pusher, and the pretty much shot him down.
Woohoo!
So he's had
because people are taking drugs to end their own lives for fun. For recreation.
Last week, federal judge foiled that mass grab for power. The U.S. District Court Judge Robert Jones ruled.
For recreation.
recreational suicide.
Robert Jones ruled that the Attorney General, an appointed executive whose tenure depends entirely on whatever administration occupies the White House, has no authority to impose his personal beliefs on the people of Oregon or any other state.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's
Here.
one down. The only other story that this is Ashcroft one was long. I have one on Bush, his most recent speech, and I think we need to do things more funny than W. Because he went on with his tirade. This article talks about Bush's religious speaking.
Right.
Where he goes is more and more religiously.
Newsflash.
Yeah.
Shrub is religious. And frickin' shut up about it, even in his official capacity as president.
I've got a brief editorial segue to that about Bush. Well, it's not really about him, but it's about politicians in general. Yeah. This is an editorial out of the New York Times this week by Frank Rich. Now, I don't believe, I don't agree with all that the article contains, but this is the most brilliant synopsis of politics and religion encapsulated in one paragraph that I think I've ever read. So I've got to share it, okay? And what he's referring to, the name of the article is Religion for Dummies. And it was in the April 27th, 2002 edition of the New York Times. Again, it is an editorial. But he says, he's referring to the sexual abuse scandal in the Roman Catholic and other clergy all across the world. But he says, but the abdication of personal responsibility by some religious leaders in America is only half a confused moral equation since September 11th. If too many religious leaders sound like politicians right now, the flip side is that more and more politicians in power are rushing into the ensuing vacuum. They exploit the exigencies of war to sound like clergymen, seizing religious language to veil partisan public policy in a miasma of ersatz godliness. Beautiful.
Yeah. You know, you've heard the phrase moral clarity lately?
Yes.
Not lately.
I've just read that, moral clarity.
That is the buzz term that's been floated by these by guys who are so thrilled that we are having a big war on terrorism because we can say absolutely for sure black and white, right and wrong. You know what? You know what moral clarity is? It's moral simplicity, right? Nothing is that black and white.
Right.
There are always two sides to every issue. One side may be pretty tiny and pathetic, but there's always that other side.
Yeah.
You know, the suicide bombers, the Palestinian suicide bombers blowing themselves up to try to hurt Israel, that's appalling. But on the other hand, they're thinking that their ethnic group is in such trouble that they are forced to desperate measures like that. I don't mean to say that everything should be considered okay. That's not what I'm saying. But to whitewash over everything or blackwash over another group of things and say these things are always forever absolutely right and these things are always forever absolutely wrong is just simplistic. It doesn't really tell you anything about what's going on, and it doesn't really justify anything.
Nope. But that's what Bush and other politicians after September 11th are trying to do.
And I think
they're doing quite a good job at it. And that's what's so frightening is what do people think Bush has really done that makes him this wonderful leader?
Here's the thing. You know, we had Bill Clinton dipping his wick in the White House, right? Not into his wife. And suddenly it was like, there's our moral clarity. Isn't that always forever absolutely wrong? And yet, we have this guy who's the president, who's always forever supposed to be absolutely right. So, and their heads exploded. And so we got this dimwit in the White House who's pretending to be Mr. Always Absolutely Right.
Mr. Clean.
That's right.
Yep.
I hate that.
I know.
I don't care where Bill Clinton dips wick. I don't care. Well, okay. I do, when there's matters of like, but if the person that he's raping, I mean, there's an issue, right? I can get behind that one.
It's not an issue of sex, it's an issue of violence, though. So.
Right, exactly.
No thanks. We're already pretty much clean. Thank you. So, I mean, but that's what's going on. People are not willing, and, we heard all the reaction from Europe where they're going, so your president as a mistress? You have a problem with this?
Yeah.
These guys understand that things are just not so absolutely black and white,
And we
right and
never had
wrong,
a president
yes and no.
who had mistresses before.
Oh,
yeah.
The
Italians,
it is no big
the
deal.
Italians elected a porn star to their Congress.
Cicciolina, if that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
She made pornographic movies,
Uh-huh.
and then later on became a representative.
Uh-huh.
All right.
She
They don't have the
she volunteered to have sex with Saddam Hussein if he would withdraw
that's
his
right.
troops from
From
Iraq,
Kuwait.
Kuwait.
From Kuwait.
Yeah.
Well, that's true diplomacy.
That's right.
Hey, whatever works.
The noble politics. There we go. Stop being such a prick and we'll get it on.
Yeah.
That's what I call moral clarity.
Oh my.
Yeah, see, that to me is that those are the issues we can be clear about, right? Are people dying? Are people horribly unhappy? Is there a terrible disease? Speaking of which, can I do my stories?
Sure.
Speaking of this frickin' moral clarity that's driving me crazy today. Greek Church rejects virus link. Now check this out. The Greek Orthodox Church has angrily dismissed reports in the Greek national media that taking Holy Communion could spread a mystery virus which has killed 3 people over the last week.
Oh dear.
The rate of reporting of new cases over the next few days... oops, I'm sorry. That sentence is out of place. The quote is, it should be considered blasphemous, to say the least, to consider it possible that epidemic ailments could be transferred through Holy Communion and endanger human life. This
Even
is from
to
the
consider
Athens Archdiocese.
Even to consider it is blasphemous.
Now,
Just to
check this
consider
out. What they do, right, in the Greek Orthodox Church, when you get the wine part of the communion,
Yeah.
they don't have a little cup. You don't get a little Dixie cup with your own grape juice in it. There's wine on a spoon. And the wine goes on, the spoon goes in somebody's mouth, wine, spoon in a mouth, wine, spoon in
the
another mouth.
same spoon.
Ew.
Same frickin' spoon.
Yes.
But because this is supposed to be magic,
Yeah.
because it's a stupid-ass magic where it's the wine is really Jesus' blood.
Which
Can
is sick
I do
unto
sound
itself.
effects?
Yeah.
Ooga booga, ooga booga, ooga booga.
I mean, talk about primitive.
Jesus' blood could not possibly carry disease.
Now, understand, they're not outraged because the Greek government is saying that's how it got spread. They're
No.
outraged because the Greek government's health officials said, look, we got this disease, we're trying to contain it. That is one of the things you gotta watch out for, right?
Right. You don't share cups with somebody you don't know. You don't eat off the same silverware and stuff somebody
Yeah.
doesn't know. These are things that hepatitis can be spread
Yes.
by contact. You can touch something that somebody else touched with hepatitis and get it.
And these guys are completely freaking out.
So yeah, and it's insane. All it is just let's take some precautions. Let's adjust how we do things a little bit and contain this disease.
Yeah. They don't care.
Well,
I don't think they have to care
Exactly,
because it's magic.
But to even
It's magic, and therefore there can't be viruses
listen to
in there.
listen to the language. To even consider it is blasphemous.
Yes.
That's just stupid. Okay?
To consider it
Religion
possible.
makes you stupid. That's just the way
Can
it
I
is.
talk more about moral clarity while we're on this subject?
Sure.
Pat Robertson condemns gambling, owns racehorse. Christian Coalition founder Pat Robertson says he sees no contradiction between his condemnation of gambling and his ownership of racehorse Mr. Pat. It's named after him.
Maybe he's a head horse. He doesn't expect our great any money.
Now, I don't bet and I don't gamble, Robertson said. I just enjoy watching horses run and
But you
perform.
have a horse, which other people will gamble on it, so you're thereby contributing to the gambling that you're condemning.
Now, here's a shocker. Some religious experts say Robertson is violating the spirit of his conservative Christian message.
Okay.
University of Chicago theologian Martin Marty, oh boy, you know he got beat up, says the whole culture...
Marty, smell like farty.
Let me read the damn quote. The whole culture of horse racing involves gambling. All the money comes from people trying to hit it big gambling. It's like saying you're investing in a bordello, but aren't in favor of prostitution. Hey, good point, Marty.
Yeah,
Yes.
really.
Harry, you got some news? I just jumped in with those because they were moral clarity issues.
Well, let's see. Really, what I have today, I've let Vic do news today. I've got editorials.
Yeah, make up for last week when I didn't do any.
That's all right. I've got. Let's see. Yeah, let me start with this one. This is an article out of the Washington Post and it's out of Dublin, and it's by a reporter, Fintan O'Toole. The headline is...
It's appropriate. Give today's
Do you
theme.
think he's Irish? No. Okay. The headline is The Cardinals Who Weren't Called to Rome. In other words, I think I may have swallowed my words there, but we're not called to Rome. I'll just read the intro. Victims breaking their silence to talk about abuse at the hands of priests they trusted. A system of dealing with complaints that hovers between complacency and complicity. Bishops and cardinals disappearing from view as questions rain down on them. Awkward news conferences at which church leaders set out to look humble and contrite and end up looking arrogant and uncaring. Enraged victims protesting at church ceremonies. The faithful disillusioned and bewildered. Basically, what the article talks about is, and actually, I'm saying this is a news piece, but on second glance, this is actually a column. Mr. O'Toole is a columnist with the Washington Post, so I should correct that. It is not a news story. However, he makes some valid points. He says, and let me just go ahead and read this aspect of it as well. This is, however, one chapter of the American story that is starkly different from the otherwise similar tale in Ireland. Last week, during his extraordinary meeting with the leaders of the U.S. Catholic hierarchy, Pope John Paul II personally acknowledged the calamity in their church. The Pope, however, had not intervened publicly in the Irish situation, or for that matter, in similar crises around the world. Mm-hmm. It seems clear that the Vatican views the American scandal as a much more serious affair for the Universal Church than the collapse of public trust in the Irish Church.
Sure, because there's a lot of money in America.
Right. And a much larger Irish-American population than there is in the entire country of Ireland.
Population?
Wow.
Yeah, Irish. The Irish.
The thing on the TV talk shows now that whenever they talk about the Catholic Church, all you hear about is the number of homosexual men in the Catholic Church. And this is why there's pedophilia, of course, because there's homosexual men in the Catholic Church. The talk show all equating homosexuality with
what?
pedophilia.
Really?
The ones that I've seen, I've watched them all the way through, but the ones that I've seen...
Let's do the story about that.
All right.
Or at least get
this is also an editorial from Newsday, but the homos are to blame is the intro to Cheryl McCarthy's editorial in Newsday. That's the message coming from Rome, where the nation's top Catholic bishops were summoned to discuss the widening scandal of children and teenagers being sexually abused by priests. Okay, Cardinal Edward Egan, stand-in at St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York State, agreed that homosexuals should be barred from the priesthood and branded the United States as, quote, probably the most immoral country, unquote,
come on.
in the Western Hemisphere.
You cannot, on the one hand, set your organization up as the moral guidepost to the universe.
Yeah.
Right? And then say, when your own people get caught doing stuff, that it's the fault of the country they're in. It's not the, good grief.
I know, and by the way, that's not the perspective that Miss McCarthy is taking. I mean, she is not saying that the homos are to blame.
I know.
She's
she is saying that is effectively what they're saying.
That's what they're saying.
I know. Do you guys follow that whole visit to the Pope thing?
I have seen
and what they said,
pieces, but it's been in the news for so long now that I suffer from the American version of American disease of short-term attention span.
And, I know. I didn't bring any priest sexual abuse stories myself either. I'm
so now
sick to death of it. Shut them church down, right? Shut the organization down in our country, and be done with it.
Well, if you want to impress me, come up and say, well, okay, we've seen this problem, and now if we find out that you're a pedophile or abusing the prisoners, we'll forgive you, but we're going to hand you over to the police. I'll be impressed with that.
Yeah.
Did you hear their whole
thing? They said they stopped short of the one strike rule that everybody thought that they were going to impose. Mm-hmm. Instead, they came up with this really, weaselly. Oh, if a priest becomes notorious
serial abuse.
For serial abuse. And he for be guilty of serial abuse. So you not only has to become widely known, but you also have to be like convicted, apparently, right? And you can't just be convicted of 1 or 2 or 3 instances, right? You got to have done a whole bunch of them. Well, then they'll kick you out. What a shock! What a surprise!
Oh boy!
My goodness, is that when they'll do it? So basically, their policy all along of covering it up so that you won't become notorious, of defending the accused. I mean, beyond just the limits of normal defense, right? But by doing things like hide money to the people that are the accusers, right? Yeah. As long as you keep it from going to trial, so you don't get accused, you don't have to kick them out. And as long as people only ever find out about a handful of them, you still don't have to kick him out.
Yeah. It gets
unbelievable.
You're not going to believe it, but it gets even more absurd.
Okay.
In his
I'll believe it.
In his homily at St. Patrick's this week, Monsignor Eugene Clark blamed not only homosexual, the highly sexualized U.S. culture, for the church's sex scandal.
You mean he's blaming the fact we're sitting around nude?
Exactly.
He's blaming us.
Yeah.
Just because we don't have a stitch on.
We're causing priests to abuse young boys.
There's no priest here.
Yeah, but you know, that our nakedness zooms through the windows into the air, and they breathe it and become predators.
I guess somehow by magic.
Yeah, it's a kind of magic.
So,
that would be tantric magic.
Yeah.
So, and another story of moral clarity, we saw Loubet.
Oh yeah, you guys want to get into that? I have one more.
We got to get into that.
All right, well we'll go into that because it gets to moral clarity.
Yeah.
A week and a half ago, I think it was, I saw a film called Frailty.
Yeah.
Directed by Bill Paxton, who you might recall as the Game Over Man guy from Alien 2. Aliens.
Yeah.
He was also Simon the used car salesman in True Lies.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you.
And he was the lead in Twister, which wasn't a very good movie, but anyway, he was the lead in that too.
Thank you, producer Russell Blaster, who still has all his clothes on. So Pat directed this film, and I saw it with Martin Wagner, who is the host of our public access TV show.
And they're not naked there either.
What? No, they don't.
We'll work on that.
Yeah.
We can have nudity in public access, but after an hour, we're not on late. Now, Don Lawrence, his
that's
show,
right.
he interviews sex industry ladies.
Yes, that's going to start
Nina Hartley.
Monday
night.
1 a.m.
1 a.m.
Right.
Which is actually Tuesday morning.
Right.
Not coming Monday after
It's
this.
not?
No, he said this.
I thought it was one.
No, that'd be the 30th. It'd be next week. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right, not yet. But yeah, it's got a big interview with Nina Hartley, atheist.
Nina Hartley,
atheist?
Think so. I think
she's on the famous atheists list.
Definitely a free thinker.
Definitely free thinker, but she doesn't specifically say atheist.
And get this, she's not naked in the interview.
No, she's not naked in the interview.
Okay.
She was.
But he's gonna have good ladies on his show. But we don't do that during the regular.
Although I was there
show.
when we taped that interview, and she was naked during the interview.
Yeah, right. What
about this movie?
Oh, the movie Frailty. So I saw this with Martin Wagner, and at the end of the film we stopped and chatted for about an hour trying to make sense of this, because it's a real shocker for atheists in a way that we're maybe not entirely used to. And we're now going to discuss this film because Mary and Vic and other members of the ACA went and saw this last night.
Yes.
Last night.
Okay, Michelle has not seen it, so we don't want to give away anything.
We have no choice. We're going to talk about it.
There's no chance that I'll see it. I only go to Disney movies.
All right. So, but those of you listening to the audio show now, if you haven't seen Frailty and you want to see it without having the ending given away, because it is one of those twist surprise ending things.
Yeah.
You need to stop listening to our show right now. I can't believe I'm actually encouraging people not to listen. But if you have a problem with this, shut it down.
Yeah.
Because it's probably going to take up the whole rest of the show.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the deal. Frailty starts out as an axe murderer movie about this like single parent father who wakes up one morning. He's had a dream that God told him, "Here's this list of people. You gotta kill these people off." Except God tells them to be demons. They're not really people.
They look like humans.
And, they look like people, but they're not people. And God says he's gonna send these 3 holy weapons that they're gonna... And the dad comes to his 2 young boys.
And Bill Paxton is the dad,
Bill Paxton plays the dad, right. He goes to his 2 young boys, and he says, "Dad, God has visited me, and we have been selected to do this, and so, you know, we're gonna... pretty soon, it'll be time, we'll go get the first name on the list."
Demon. The first demon on the list.
Yeah, the first demon on the list. And the older of the 2 boys says, basically, "This is insane." Now, this is all told as a flashback from a guy who goes to the FBI saying, there have been these serial axe murders lately, and it's my brother, because I was one of the 2 brothers, and he completely bought it, and now he's carrying on Dad's work of killing people for God.
Played by Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. So in flashback, we see Dad go and capture these people whose names are on his list and drag them into his shed, where he kills them with an axe in front of his children.
Right after he touches them, though.
But one of they get the 3 magic weapons too, which is, one is an axe that has Otis carved into the handle, one of them is a steel pipe, and one of them is this pair of work gloves. And he figures out the work gloves are cause God says, when I touch these demons, I will see their evil sins, and that will be proof that they are the ones that need to die. And so he captures these guys, drags them into his shed, takes the gloves, touches them, and you see what he sees in his mind, and it's these whole crimes, and then he kills them. And the younger of the 2 boys says, "Yeah, Dad, I saw a vision too when you touched him." And the older boy is saying, "This is frickin' nuts." Finally, the older boy says, "No, I won't have anything to do with this," and he goes and he tells the local sheriff. After Dad has warned him, "No, you mustn't ever tell anybody, because if they find what we're doing, then the innocent people will be hurt." But the boy goes to the sheriff anyway, gets him up to Dad's house, tells him the story. Sheriff says, "Okay, fine, so let's see this shed." And they go out there, and Dad kills the sheriff with the axe, and then blames the son. That's the first innocent man I had to kill. It's all your fault. And it says, "No, you're nuts. You've been killing people like over and over again." And so Dad locks him in a cellar and says, "You're going to stay down there without any food until you see a vision from God, because God tells me you're a demon, but I don't believe God, and I'm going to give you a chance to amend your ways." So kid comes out of the basement a week later and says, "Yeah, I saw a vision. I know what my purpose is now." And the next time that they catch a victim and the dad hands the axe to the kid to prove himself, he axes Dad. Okay, fine. Now we get back to the present. And there's this whole thing that the 2 boys that are at odds with each other, because, you know, the younger boy is saying, I'm gonna hunt you down and kill you for what you did to Dad and ruining our mission." So the guy who's gone to the FBI says, "Well, I'm the older son, and it's the younger son. We're both grown up now. He is continuing Dad's work, and I can show you where all the bodies are buried and prove that he's really guilty."
Mm-hmm.
So
and he tells all this to one FBI agent.
He tells this all to one FBI agent late at night at the FBI offices.
And there's a picture of the FBI agent and his mom on the FBI agent's desk.
So he leads the FBI guy out there, and then, surprise! I'm not the older son, I'm the younger son, and you're on my list. And he touches the FBI guy, and we see a flashback of the FBI guy murdering his own mother. And the FBI guy says, "How did you know?" And the movie tells us suddenly, this is not about an insane person or an insane family of axe murderers. This is really all true. God really did appoint the guy and his family to be the ones to go around taking out these horrible criminals. Like, in all the different flashbacks of the different quote, demons that they slew were horrible things. You know, a prostitute that slit the throat of her John and got his money, an old man that molests children, and this FBI guy that murdered his own mother, right? They're all really guilty of horrific crimes, and God really did give these guys the message to go kill the people. And this is reinforced by the fact that when the FBI tries to figure out where did our missing agent go, they look at the tapes of the guy who came to their offices, and there's this mysterious band of static that follows the Matthew McConaughey around on the screen, so you can't see who it is. God's power is protecting him from being identified. It is a superhero movie where the superpowers come from God, and that's hinted at earlier in the film, because when Dad first tells the kids about God's dream and their mission, the youngest kid says, "So we're like superheroes, right, Dad? What are our powers?" "Well, one of them is that when we touch these demons, we'll be able to see what their evil crimes are, and another is that God will protect so that we don't get, nobody ever discovers our mission." They have secret identities, and it's at the end of the film, you know, if you're an atheist watching this, you go, "Ew!" Right? That's awful.
Yeah, that's
and it is. Reaction. It's horrible. That was my reaction.
It is absolutely horrible. Now the question is, what was the point that the filmmakers were making, right? And after a long discussion, Martin and I came to the conclusion, and it is a very delicately balanced conclusion, because we realize what the implication of this is, right? We concluded that because the music at the end, where you see Matthew McConaughey, who by the way, now that he's grown up, he's the new sheriff of the town.
Yeah.
And he's got a young, beautiful wife who's pregnant, so they're gonna have another generation of these demon sluts,
and the
right?
name of the town is Meat, Texas.
MEAT?
Uh-huh.
Meat?
No. It is.
Meat was that wasn't the town.
No, there was a sign on the, yes. I mean, I know the sign you're talking about, but on the building, not on the bank.
Anyway.
But there's anyway. There were
Martin
two
and I
signs.
could only conclude, based on the creepy music that plays as the camera pans back, and we realize Matthew McConaughey is going to get away scot-free for axe murdering all these people because God told him to, and God is giving him magical powers so he can't get caught, right? Because the music during the pan back is creepy, which is not how Mary remembered. But
I remembered it not lighthearted and whimsy, but
no,
not. I didn't remember it as being
It's
morose.
very disturbing. It's intended to be disturbing. I think the point of the film is that hey, in the Old Testament, God does stuff essentially like this, right? He declares guilt and innocence, and he smites people that are guilty. Here, doing it through an agent, but God has done that before in the Old Testament. This is just that kind of stuff that God is supposed to have things like God is supposed to have done before in a modern context. And how do we think about that? Right? And obviously, the atheist answer is like, "Bah! We don't want our superheroes to be like that, you know."
No. Heat vision or something.
Right.
Yeah. Even
Right.
X-ray vision.
Now, if you've seen the movie Unbreakable, which is another surprise and superhero movie that, and very much the same kind of thing, it's essentially the same, because Bruce Willis finds out he's a superhero and his mission is to protect the world from the bad people, and he can touch people and find out if they've committed horrible crimes. He follows this horrific mass murderer to his lair and strangles to death. The only difference between that movie and this one is because it's not the surprise ending at the end. In this movie, they build up through demonstrating that Bruce Willis really does have the ability to really identify horrific, evil people that need to be taken down, right? They do that up front. It's not a surprise. Now, if you showed that same movie and you took out the part of it and it's just this dark, cloaked figure creeping around a house after this guy and strangling him to death, and then you're told after the fact that's a superhero because he really did know that the victim really did deserve it, and he has superpowers specifically for the purpose of going and killing those people, it'd be the same damn movie. Damn movie.
So, you said you had a review.
I have a review. And now Mary, tell us what your reaction to the film was.
Okay, well, my initial reaction was just pure horror and yuck.
Rightly so.
I just, and I know that's the point. I mean, I know that that's what Bill Paxton wanted us to feel, was revolted. But
good job.
Yeah. But I guess what really bothers me about the film and about what people, including myself, take away from it is that my concern is that much like with The Exorcist, to me that's just basically a PR film for Catholicism. And as a horror movie, I can appreciate The Exorcist. It scared the shit out of me, and I thought it was really disgusting and revolting, like it was supposed to be. But at the same time, I didn't like The Exorcist because I think it manipulates people who really do believe that these things could be real. And so the biggest problem I had with Frailty was that, to me, early on, especially when we were getting the father's perspective on things, all of a sudden he just kind of seemed to flake out and believe that God came down and talked to him when before he was okay. I don't like what that kind of message sends about mental illness, because we really don't get in the plot as to whether or not this guy was really mentally ill, or if he, like you say, was really seeing demons, and he really knew that these people were demons. That's what bothers me about it, is that there's already a lot of stigma, about mental illness, and I don't think we really need to add fuel to that fire. Now, looking from your perspective, obviously, that's not what the message was. But I just have concerns that, people will think that this is really how serial murderers behave. And maybe there is a case where a father recruited young sons to become murderers also. But I think that's just basically bogus, and to me, the reason Silence of the Lambs was so terrifying was that, to me, that was more based in reality. This movie, to me, was not based in any kind of reality. No. And that's why I guess, I understand your point that it's not supposed to be, but, it's supposed to be a superhero film.
Well, let me clarify.
I just don't know if people are going to, okay.
I mean, it's not based, we say it's not based in reality, right? Because we don't believe that there was supernatural boogeyman floating around in the ancient Middle East, picking special people to be his followers and smiting the wicked and all that crap, right? Mm-hmm. But Christians do. Mm-hmm. And that is a valid concern about a film like this, right? What if Christians see this, and what if, instead of being repulsed, what if they said, well, yeah, they got a point. That would be okay. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that that's the reaction they're getting. And I have a review here of the film.
Let's hear that.
That talks about this from the perspective of a guy who is upset with the film because he sees it as religion bashing. Now, he wouldn't see it as religion bashing. No Christian is going to look at The Exorcist and say that's religion bashing.
See, and that really surprises me.
But that's because even if they don't believe in exorcism and demons and stuff, the church in The Exorcist is entirely the good guys, right? Mm. At no point is this because of, some bad thing God is doing or some disturbing thing that God is doing.
Quite the opposite.
The bad forces are doing stuff and God has to stop them.
Yeah.
Now, you can look at this film that way too. At the end, you could say, well, look, the bad forces were all these people they were killing. We just didn't realize until the very end that they were the analog of Satan in The Exorcist, right? And then the church is the analog of the dad with the axe chopping people's heads off. Okay. Michael Medved from USA Today reviews this film and basically attacks it, saying that it's calculated religion bashing for the purpose of making the film seem important, like it has something important to say, and then he says prominent critics have gotten the point, including Moira MacDonald of the Seattle Times, who described Frailty as a cautionary tale against religious fanaticism. And then he says, in the New York Times, Stephen Holden observed, frailty may be only a genre film, but it forcefully reminds us of the degree to which all of us are our parents' ideological captives when we're children, and in an age when intolerant fundamentalist faith is once an ascendant, it is a theme worth dwelling on. I think both of those reviews have completely missed the point. It is not about what happens when you have fundamentalists. It isn't. Because fundamentalists do not have the magical power to have their faces obscured on video cameras when they go to pick out their next victim. Right? Mm-hmm. It is not about that. It is about what would it be like if the Old Testament God was doing the same kind of shit today that he was supposed to have done in the Old Testament. And here is a quote in the same article, and I'm amazed Michael Medved missed the point entirely while actually quoting the screenwriter. Brent Hanley is the screenwriter. He says, quote, today, if someone says God spoke to me, we think they're crazy. Yet the Old Testament is based on God's conversations with Moses. We want to believe that it happened then, but we can't accept that it might happen today. He is taking Old Testament Jehovah and his shenanigans and recasting them in a modern setting to see what that looks like. And we saw what it looks like. And Christians don't like it either because they don't want to think of their God as this guy who would pick a special agent to be his special executioner and gift him with holy weapons and a list of the evil people that deserve to be killed.
Yeah.
They don't, even though that is exactly the kind of shit that the Old Testament God would pull.
Yeah. Well, here's where you and I still disagree on that, and that is just that I still am not convinced that he was really seeing those visions, except in his own mind. Because even the whole movie could have been just, the perspective of crime from the perspective of serial killer.
The problem is that the things that happen are not limited to the minds of the killers. Not just the dad and not Matthew McConaughey, the son. There's the mysterious stat on the videotape at the FBI offices. There is the mysterious amnesia on the part of the other agent from the offices who saw Matthew McConaughey, but then could not remember what he like. And there is the fact that the hints of that special power are scattered all through the earlier part of the film, where they grab this one guy in broad daylight in a supermarket shopping parking lot, and one of the sons says, "Dad, it's broad daylight. He's going to see us." And Dad says, "No, God will protect us." All during the course of the film, it is clear that there is something supernatural going on here. It is not just that there's a guy who's insane and wants to kill people with an axe.
The first time you see it, though, you don't see that.
It's very subtle.
But
it's
what they're doing is they're telling the story from the oldest child's perspective, who doesn't believe this. Right. They're seeing it as if the dad was crazy.
Right.
And this son's
because that's what it would look like, which is, of course, part of the point of the scriptwriter. You don't catch that it's actually a real thing that God actually did pick these people until the very last one. Right. After the last FBI agent, the FBI agent was killed, and it's creepy. Right.
I was fine with the movie up until that last couple of scenes, and I'm like, oh no, you not just cop out.
But see, now I personally think that one of the best uses for Christianity is as fodder for horror films. Because I love horror. If you have a Medusa in a horror film, that's a creature from Greek mythology. I think that's great. Very effective, right? We know what the hell that is from the mythology. Great. 2,500
years ago, there were probably people who were deadly afraid of Medusa.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And right. And so to when I see a film that uses Christianity as just a source of horrific supernatural concepts to put in a horror film, I don't have a problem with that. Though with this one film, my one concern is, the small number of insane, whacked out fundamentalists who might watch this and say, "Yeah, that's right."
You mean Fred Phelps?
Fred Phelps could see this, assuming he believes any of his crap at all, and isn't just doing it solely to piss people off so he can sue them.
Yeah.
But if he's honest, I think if Fred Phelps could see this and say, "Hey, yeah, that's me. There's me with the axe, chop that FBI man's head off. If I knew that man was a sinner," and I do, of course, because he's not us. That would be entirely appropriate for me to take that man's head for God. But since I felt a lot better about it since I started reading these reviews that by people who are sympathetic to the plight of religion and the reduced number of people going to church and stuff, right? I think that the vast majority of Christians are just going to not be able to confront the issue of this film, which is, what if it was all true?
Well, I don't think Christian or non-Christian can do that and go and not cringe and think, what if
Except
this were
for
true?
Phelpses.
Well, yeah. Because they go, yeah.
Right, so that's the thing. I mean, people who are so far gone that they would look at them and think that...
They're a warrior for God.
Yeah.
Yeah, those people are already dangerous. I don't think we have to worry too much about the film putting them over the edge.
Yeah.
But maybe. I mean, you never know.
Gonna run on axes at Home Depot?
Yeah.
Somebody with a little chisel and
Otis.
Right.
And that was the other thing that I thought was pretty effective in the film, was in the beginning when he was looking for all of his weapons, when Bill Paxton was looking for all the weapons.
Yeah.
And he's driving along this country road in his pickup truck, and all of a sudden he looks over and there's this barn, and we've all seen this a million times.
There's a shaft of sunlight
yeah,
breaking through clouds right on the barn.
Right on the barn.
And he opens it up, and one of the rays breaks through a hole in the roof and shines right on this axe that's in a stone.
Yeah.
And this is Bill Paxton, who told kids, God told me he's sending his 3 holy weapons. You just have to watch for them, right?
Yeah.
And that's the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all very. The presentation is very.
I got a chuckle out of the second one. It comes
spiritual.
Look, I got the second weapon.
And just unwraps it. It's a little pipe.
Yeah. Like
but it's
blue.
all silvery.
Yeah, 3/4 galvanized with threads on the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hey, come
Lord
on.
works in mysterious ways.
In reality, though, if you were to whack somebody with one of those, they'd be dead. I don't think they're waking up after that.
No, you could whack somebody with a 3/4 galvanized pipe and they give them a hell of a headache.
I think you would bash them.
Depending on where you hit them and how you hit them.
Well, you can bash them several times.
Right.
Yeah. You can't give somebody a deadly blow by hitting them in the head.
Yeah.
You can also leave them with a really nasty concussion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
What was the third thing?
Oh, the third was a pair of gloves.
Oh, the gloves.
And Bill is all confused. He says, I don't know what these are for. And he finally realizes he's supposed to wear those while capturing the demon.
Until he's ready to check him out.
Until he's ready to check him out for his demonic tendencies. And then he takes gloves off and touches him.
Creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels very much like it's just growing insanity, where he's layering on rationalization after rationalization.
And I'm convinced he is. I think that's also what the film
does not explain the supernatural things that happen.
If they had left it at the killing of the FBI agent at the end, it would have been him being crazy. But since they went ahead,
they left it ambiguous.
No, they left it clear.
I'm still not convinced that the last FBI agent did not recognize Matthew. We don't know. We don't really know whether he did not.
He did when he walks into
what's
the
he gonna
sheriff's
do?
office.
Hey, I know.
He comes out. Yeah. There's this look of on his I've seen this guy before, but then
he can't place him. It's not enough. You see, that's
exactly.
The thing. It's enough so that Matthew McManamee is not going to jail.
A trained investigator doesn't forget face, especially if he's in connection with the murder
case. Like the first FBI agent saying, you're an observer. That's your strongest skill.
And you're sitting there. I shook the guy's hand. Just can't picture him.
Yeah.
No, didn't happen.
Right.
Well, because God had
and here's the other thing that pissed me off about it, though. In terms of reality, is that FBI agent never would have taken him out to the woods by himself.
Yeah,
that is just stupid.
Yes, I agree.
That's stupid.
And that's not the only flaw in the film. Yeah. It's by far not a perfect film, right? I think it was better made than Unbreakable, but that's just me, maybe. And that doesn't mean I'm saying it's great. But it raises interesting issues.
Yeah.
And like I say, I personally like it when the supernatural is played straight, because I think one of the best ways for me, as somebody who as a kid grew up playing role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic and stuff. One of the things that most clearly told me that there are no such things as monsters and no such thing as magic was the complete and utter absence of any of the kinds of things you would expect to see in the world if that was really going on. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's clear. If you take it seriously and follow it through to its obvious implications, it all falls down. It's just not happening.
If it hadn't been for D&D, you might have believed in God after all?
I might have kept not questioning it. If
Yeah.
it hadn't been for the fact that Well, the D&D on the one hand, making it pretty obvious to me that there's just nothing supernatural going on.
Yeah.
Because, you take the wimpiest magic spell in the Dungeons & Dragons game and give that to me, I'd control the planet in a month. Doesn't matter what it is. I would control the freaking planet. And so playing superhero playing games, which is why it's interesting to me that these are ultimately superhero movies. And I'm not forcing this frailty into that mold. I mean, there's a scene where the kid says, so we're like, superheroes, Dad? What are our powers? And Dad tells him what his powers are.
Yeah, like that's the most logical question in the world.
To a kid that age?
Yeah. But even Dad, when he answered
it, obviously.
Yeah, he was like,
the dad is at least comfortable talking to the kid in those terms.
Right.
But playing superhero games, I mean, Spider-Man is coming out soon. And the Spider-Man character, his origin is he gets bitten by a radioactive spider, right? And his first impulse is go into show business. Because he can climb on walls, and he can do these crazy acrobatics and stuff, right? He wants to go into show business. And there's a scene where he's going for, like, his interview, and some criminal is running down the halls. I forget what he's done, but somebody says, hey, stop that man. And Spider-Man says, I'm not getting involved in that. And a short time later, that particular criminal kills Spider-Man's Uncle Henry that he's living with.
Kills his dad? Oh, Uncle.
Uncle.
Oh, okay.
But Spider-Man's parents are already gone. He's living with his aunt. No, kills Uncle Ben. And then Spider-Man realizes with great power comes great responsibility. And that's the Spider-Man catchphrase, which I hope they actually use in the
If only God listened to that.
And that's the thing. That was one of the main things for me. Playing superhero role-playing games, and realizing, okay, the only real justification for exerting this kind of power over your fellow man would be if you're doing it for good reasons, if you're justified.
Benevolent.
Right. And I think that's the creepy thing about a film like Frailty, because it's providing the supernatural justification for the horrible axe murders. Right. But then you look behind that, and what's the justification for God? And I had that's the exact thought process as a result of playing a particular episode of a superhero role-playing game. Like, here I am, we're walking this really fine line in this game, trying to act being a guy who has all this responsibility because of his power. And then you hear about shit God pulled, and whoa, where does he get off? I mean, even if he created everything, even if he's the toughest bully on the block, doesn't justify acting like that. And that's the deeper problem with Frailty, right? Oh, we had supernatural justification because God told him it's okay. Who said it's okay for God to say we're going to chop that person's head off because of their crimes?
Right.
Well, God did.
Right. And for me, the reason why we look at that and say that's creepy is because we have a legal system that requires proof.
Right.
Right. Not that it's perfect, but at least we require independent confirmation of a charge of somebody doing crime.
Well, maybe that's the point of the film. Maybe the point is there is no proof, even at the end.
I think that is for sure why it's creepy. That's why we don't like the idea of that's why vigilantes are bad, right? Yeah. There's a superhero on the one hand, and then there's a vigilante on the other hand. And a vigilante is a guy who just takes the law into his own hands, says, hey, cause I know that this is right, I'm going to go do it, and not follow through any kind of legal process to come up with a justification that everybody can, or the most people can buy into.
Witch hunt.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I got another news story. Speaking of the supernatural in real life, check this out. Because I'm very concerned about our country.
Be scared?
You will be. I'm very concerned about the number of complete insane lawyers that have in this country. Okay, check this out. Attorney claims alleged psychic Miss Cleo is for real. Miss Cleo's lawyer went on the offensive Wednesday after 2 months of near silence, asserting his client has a gift of clairvoyance and suggesting she's the subject of a latter-day witch hunt.
Well, they damn well better be able to prove it.
Isn't the same lawyer that said she actually is Jamaican?
Yes, actually, though he wouldn't explain what evidence he had for that.
Right.
Because, what he actually did is he listed like 8 different possible scenarios by which she might have a Californian birth certificate still be from Jamaica. And he insisted one of those 8 explanations is the truth, but I'm not telling you which one.
My girlfriend was born in California. Her mother's from Jamaica, so does that make her Jamaican?
No. Okay, here we go. Let me do the rest of the story.
They could have dual citizenship until they... Sure.
Done. Start putting your clothes back on. Our show's not over yet. It does not take a crystal...
It's cold in here, man.
It does not take a crystal ball to see that the allegations against Miss Cleo may be politically motivated. Attorney William Cohn Jr. said in a statement, "Is this Florida politics or a bad remake of the Salem witch trials?" The state of Florida in February sued the TV infomercial superstar, whose real name is Yori Del Harris, of Southwest Witches in Broward County, alleging a pattern of deceiving customers. 9 states, including Florida, as well as the Federal Trade Commission, have brought complaints against Cleo's employer, Access Resource Services of Fort Lauderdale. Only Florida has named Miss Cleo individually. Is she a psychic? Is she a shaman? Can she really see the future? Yes, on all counts, Cohn said. To prove that, however, would be a legal impossibility. She was chosen. She has talent, Cohn said. She has the ability to be a shaman. She is a shaman. She has the gift. Now, you can't get more definite than that. Now, and I'm just saying, Mr. Cohn, if you want $1 million, take Miss Cleo to James Randi.
Right.
He will be happy to.
Fortunately, he can make more money than $1 million.
Yeah. The problem for Attorney Cohn and Miss Cleo is it's not just a legal impossibility to prove that she can see the future with her tarot cards. It is an actual impossibility, or you'd have $1 million in your pocket today.
Jeez, how in the world does he think that defense is going to win?
I don't know, because our country is full of fucking retards who believe there's supernatural crap going on.
If that works.
Think, people.
I know.
Think what the world would be like.
Yeah.
If Miss Cleo really could see the future in tarot cards, why would she have to be this, TV advertising mascot with a fake name?
She'd be at the racetrack.
She'd be at the racetrack betting on or against Mr. Pat Roberts, right? And making millions. She would, right? Any magical power like that, you could control the planet in a month.
Yeah.
Anybody with any kind of magical power at all.
Back to the Future 2. Great example.
Yeah, with the sports almanac.
Right. The guy's he's got no magical powers. He's got an almanac that shows what the result of all the sports events are going to be.
And here's the really disturbing thing is what kind of precedent is this going to set if the lawyer's case wins?
Well, he has not said that in court as a legal defense.
He hasn't.
He has not. That was in an interview outside of the court. Still, that any lawyer would say such an utter obvious piece of nonsense like that just appalls me. And I'm terrified for the...
What's the defense going to be? Does the article say what his actual defense is?
I don't know. He's denying that she's lying about her background.
Wow. I think maybe he ought to... Did y'all ever hear Steve Martin do his stand-up about what to say if you're ever if you're ever on trial?
Sure.
Let's say you're in trial for stealing.
Yeah.
Steve Martin said, all you have to do is there are 2 simple words. I forgot. I forgot that stealing was illegal. So Miss Cleo might say, I forgot that it's legal to bilk people out of millions of dollars because I'm claiming I'm psychic.
Do our announcements, right? Did we talk about Eeyore's birthday?
No.
Which is annual event in Austin.
He's 39.
Eeyore is 39 today. And some of us are going to go down there with our atheist T-shirts, including some new ones that Amanda made.
That's very nice.
That I loan out to any of the rest of you.
But you put your clothes on already.
Yeah.
I can put a T-shirt just to show you what it looks like.
And don't forget National Day of Prayer is coming up on Thursday.
National Day of Prayer protest, May 2. Atheist Community of Austin is going to be protesting first the prayer breakfast where
the lunch has been canceled.
The lunch with the governor is canceled, but the breakfast with a representative of the governor is going to still be going on. Yes. And ACA members will be down there protesting.
It'll be at the Doubletree Hotel.
Okay.
Doubletree Hotel, thank you. Protesting. Why am I writing this down? It's going to be over by the time we do the next show. Protesting this unconstitutional government endorsement of religion.
It's 3:30 now, and I didn't stop you to do all the music.
Well,
do you want to?
We're just going to go a few minutes over.
Okay.
And I'll finish the announcements and we can do the music. Bull Creek Park cleanup is scheduled for May 4. ACA members will be down there from 9 to 3, helping clean up Bull Creek Park, and contact Michelle if you want to do that. World Skeptics Conference, June 20 to 23 in Burbank, California. You can go to the PsyCop website for that. Once again, a reminder, you can collect past episodes of the Non-Prophets and an audio version of our sister show, The Atheist Experience, on CD. Costs $5 for a CD. There's last 3 months worth available, and contact atheist@mac.com for info. Plus, if you've enjoyed listening to our show and you want to receive email reminders to tune in live every week, go to groups.yahoo.com/group/atheist_non-prophets radio show. And there's always a chat room running alongside the show here. We didn't really interact with them much today, but thanks, guys, for tuning in to the chat. That chat room runs concurrent with the live show, and you can talk with other people listening to the show on the internet by going to www.atheistnetwork.com. Which reminds me, thank you, atheistnetwork.com, for running our program.
Yay!
Okay, we will leave you with our closing music.
Wait, let me give one more thing.
Okay,
Dennis, I made a mistake last week and said the Safe Place Walk was today. It was actually last Saturday. So sorry about that.
All right. We will leave you with our closing music, Let's Be Natural by the Ruddles. See you next week.